Firstly, welcome back to the channel, guys. My name's Adil and today is an episode of Sound Off. In particular, we're focusing on a particular vehicle and we have factory equipment and aftermarket equipment of the sound system on a Jaguar F-Pace SVR 2024 model with the Meridian sound system. In today's video, I'm going to be going through what you get from stock and what we're doing on the particular vehicle in a little bit more detail about the products themselves. So let's jump in to today's video. So before I jump in to what the products I've got laid out in front of me, I just want to cast your minds back, and if you haven't watched it already, well worth watching after today's video. It gives you a bit more of an insight about what is involved on the installation. What we've got in front of us, we're kind of midway through in terms of when we're filming this video of partway through the install, where we've got in essence all of the factory equipment out, and then we've got all of the equipment ready to go into the vehicle. I just want to go through in today's video a little bit more of an understanding for you guys at home, a little bit more of a deeper dive into the individual product. Firstly, understanding what is in your car currently. So if you own a Jaguar F-Pace SVR or have a Meridian system in your vehicle, it's going to be very, very familiar and very similar to what the products we have on my left side here. These products that we see in front of us is probably the first time that you may be ever seeing what is actually the raw product on the Meridian sound system. The speakers themselves, and this is across all the way throughout the board. So for example, a Rolls-Royce. That houses the same speakers as a BMW 1 Series. A Range Rover Vogue has the same as an Evoque. The F-Pace SVR has a similar configuration to a Range Rover Sport. BMW 1 Series is all the way the same up until a BMW M5. You name it, it's all about saving money for manufacturers, and these sorts of products are not something that you can touch or feel. And like I said, this is probably the first time you're ever seeing a mid-bass driver and the actual door speaker, for example, from a Meridian system or from any manufacturer even. One kind of misconception about these systems are the fact that when you spec a system or when you tick that box from manufacturer, a lot of time, if you can go onto any manufacturer websites. If you go on, for example, I don't know, well, let's go for this, on the Jaguar website, when you want to select the Meridian sound system or the Bang Olufsen sound system, what you do is basically what you're ticking, and it says it on there on the options list. Would you like the 14 speaker sound system? Would you like the 8 speaker sound system? They might tell you the watts that the system is, and you might have a 800 watt 14 speaker system, or whatever the configuration is they're doing. But that is pretty much all the information you get. However, if you want a little bit more information, you can then have a bit of a deeper dive, and you can go and type in on Google Meridian sound system on the Jaguar F-Pace SVR, for example. So with that in mind, when basically you are searching that and you go on the landing page for the collaboration between a home hi-fi brand like Meridian, Bang & Olufsen with Audi, whatever it might be, you go on the collaboration of, for example, Bang & Olufsen with Lamborghini. That homepage that you see, you'll not really find too much info on the actual spec of manufacturing processes, the materials used in the cones. You won't find too much information about this particular speaker. It's very, very hard, and I don't think any manufacturer with the collaboration with the home hi-fi brands actually discuss this. Reason is because of the quality of the actual raw components themselves. If you compare this, so this is a Meridian system, and don't get me wrong, Meridian is an absolutely fantastic brand, guys. Bang & Olufsen, all these big brands that you see in cars are absolutely fantastic home hi-fi brands. Kef in the Lotus Emira, we've done plenty of videos, and we did a sound off video on that as well. But like, these are fantastic home hi-fi brands. Yes, a lot of them are kind of mass market, but a lot of them are absolutely phenomenal still and have a massive kind of position in the market as well for home hi-fi. In car audio though, it just doesn't quite match up the same as the home hi-fi. These home hi-fi brands, when they convert into the car audio market, in essence, because they've got to go so mass produced with the products, they can't have the quality, and also the tick boxes that you're ticking are only, say, £800, £1,000. And yes, for the money that you're spending, yes, it is better than the stock basic option, don't get me wrong. Like the Meridian system, the Meridian surround, whichever one it is, the extra tick box is better for the money that you spend. It's £800, £400, £1,000, whatever it might be. That money is better than, and that system will be better than what you get from the entry level bulk basic stock system. However, if you want better than that, if you're used to having better than that in a car, like our particular client on this F-Pace SVR, it's all down to what's called reference point. It's what people know, what people hear, what they've heard and experienced themselves. And when they jump in their car and they have that disappointed feeling when they turn on that sound system, no matter the car, whether that be a supercar, whether it be a hatchback, 4x4, whatever it might be, when you have that bug inside you that just goes, that is not how it should be, that's where people land with ourselves here at Grange Car Audio. But you won't find too much information online about these, about what the cone is made of, what the magnet is, what the structure of the cone is. However, for example, if you go onto the manufacturer website for Audison, for example, or for Hertz, same manufacturer, but basically as you go through here, you can on the Audison watch a 6.5-inch mid bass, and what we'll do is probably put up what is actually included in this in terms of the reason why even Audison chose this particular style of cone, what that does for sound, the basket type, what magnet it is, everything is kind of listed online. As a product range that we've got in front of us, there's a big difference in quality, in physical dimensional size. However, you can still fit all of this in the OEM locations. From stock, what we've got is a 3-way front end. So we have the factory tweeter, and that is actually kind of sat on top of the dash, and we're going to put the Hertz Legend tweeter in that same location. So that is the grille that you see currently, which actually looks like quite a cheap, nasty grille. This is going to sit, it's very similar dimensions to the actual factory tweeter. However, the Hertz Legend tweeter is going to sit in the same location. This was visible as a grille on top of the dash, and then this will now be visible. Yes, it is a slight cosmetic change. However, it's going to look really nice, and actually quite a lot nicer than this. It gives it more premium feel as a product range in the vehicle. So I think that's going to make quite a nice difference, and that will be the only thing that's on display on this particular system. We do options that are completely hidden, but this is quite a nice way of doing it, because a tweeter, generally speaking, is quite a pretty product. This one not so pretty, it's got a grille on it, but even still, a tweeter, generally speaking, is designed to be quite a pretty product. So having that on display, and we do these a lot on like the thesis line where we do custom A-pillars, as you'll see on many videos. But yeah, it's a pretty product. It's not really a problem to have it on display for many people. And it sits on top of that dash in quite a good location. It's actually kind of angled slightly towards the driver. So we're going to go in that OEM location. Didn't want to do custom A-pillars because just client preference. There's so many different ways of doing sound, and every customer, every client, every system we do is completely different. So you've got the factory tweeter there. This is the factory mid-range that sits in the door area, and this as a product actually looks pretty damn good. This isn't actually too bad in comparison to things like the mid-bass driver. And a mid-range does a hell of a lot, guys. A mid-range is really important in a car. A lot of cars don't actually have a mid-range, they've just got a 2-way. We can add mid-ranges in with custom A-pillars and other cool little stuff that we do. However, if a car's got a mid-range, really important that we add that in, and it does a hell of a lot of work. For those of you who don't know, a mid-range, basically, easiest way to describe is it takes a strain away from a tweeter and a mid-bass driver, and then you've got a sub which takes over the rest of it with lower frequencies. But that actually as a product isn't too bad. I would probably say Meridian as a brand, that is probably a little bit closer to what they would kind of fit in home hi-fi rather than, say, the 6.5-inch mid-bass. I don't think Meridian would be using these types of product in their home hi-fi system with their cone design, with this rubbish little magnet at the back, the plastic housings for the structure of the unit. I think this is close. So this is obviously something where they spent a lot of their money on that mid-range with whatever budget they were allowed to spend. And remember, guys, these big manufacturers like Jaguar, like Audi, like all these big manufacturers, they are hammering down on price, right? This is a supplier to the manufacturer. They are massive. Imagine the conversation that is going on between a car manufacturer and, for example, a home hi-fi brand like Bose, Bang Olufsen. Yes, these brands have massive pull power, but not quite as much as the big manufacturers for cars. The car manufacturers have massive buying power, so they can push that price down really low, because this gets the Meridian brand out there to all Jaguar owners, which is so beneficial for Meridian, for example, as a business, because that is brand awareness. So it might be we're taking a hit on the actual product, not making as much on it, for example, or compromising on quality or something to get that badge, which always looks absolutely stunning. And no matter what system you have in a car, from home hi-fi, whether it's Bang & Olufsen, Kef, whatever it is, that badge always looks really special. And that is the branding, okay? At the end of the day, that's what most of it all is. It is branding of a system. So that mid-range is actually from manufacturer, and we've done plenty of other sound off videos. That is actually a not a bad mid-range as a solution. So wrapping that up then on the mid-range, we'll move over to the mid-bass in the front door, and this is where it starts to get a little bit disappointing. Obviously, you've got your factory tweeter. Well, any tweeter is generally quite a light product anyway, but that does weigh obviously less than the factory, the new Hertz Legend tweeter. But as a product, that doesn't weigh. It's not completely light. It's kind of the correct weight for factory tweeters. The rear one, on the other hand, is a different story. But that mid-range isn't too bad. So we're actually starting off with a Meridian system that's actually not too bad, with that factory tweeter in not a bad location actually as well, and looks quite nice. And then you've got the mid-range as well. So they're actually not too bad. And this is then where it starts to go slightly downhill with product. So mid-bass. So this is, you can kind of tell this is incredibly light. I mean, what we're putting in is one of these, the Hertz Legend speaker. And the difference in weight is absolutely huge. The difference in design, depth, everything is pretty mad. I'll hold it that way so you can actually see it. But yeah, pretty mad in terms of the actual difference between the products. As we go down in frequency, so when we go and move down from away from a mid-range, so to a mid-bass or a sub, it's very important for a couple of things, and this is to do with structure of a speaker and also how that speaker is mounted and bolted down in a vehicle. You will get far better mid-bass and bass response from a speaker if it is correctly sealed, if it is bolted down correctly, and if it has a solid structure to work with, okay? The reason is because as nature goes, this, for example, is the sub that we're going to be putting in. I'll compare that to the sub in a bit. But that sub, for example, is incredibly beefy in comparison to the factory sub. This can take a lot more power than, for example, a little mid-range can. So you're giving it more power, which means that you're moving a cone backwards and forwards a lot more. With that in mind, you are then moving more air. You are making the structure of a speaker needs to be so solid, because you're moving that cone far faster rate. You are moving that speaker so hard, and you're pushing it to its kind of, not to its limits, but you're pushing it a lot further than what you are a mid-range, okay? Because you're moving that cone more. And the bigger the cone, so like the 10-inch sub, for example, we're going to be moving that upwards and downwards. That structure needs to be more solid than, for example, the mid-bass that we've got here. And the reason is because you're moving it more, okay? It's very simple, it's just logical. So as we move that I would say is probably a more solid of a structure than what we've got in a mid-bass, which is kind of incorrect, right? So as we're talking about moving down in frequency ranges, you should get more and more solid. However, your mid-range is more solid than your mid-bass, which is gonna give basically a lack or a poor quality mid-bass response inside that vehicle. And these are the things where manufacturers start to push down on price, okay? So this is where it becomes very obvious that this product is not something that Meridian necessarily would have gone, that if I was building a desirable system for Meridian, that's not what they would probably spec in terms of the actual raw product, because you don't see this level of gear in their home hi-fi. Their home hi-fi is absolutely incredible. However, car hi-fi has the badge, has the tuning from them, no doubt about it, and it does sound good for the money that you spend on it. However, nowhere near what people's reference points are on particularly maybe other cars, or also maybe an upgraded system they've had in the past. So that is a little bit of where it starts to go a little bit downhill. Okay, so that is the front speakers, and that is actually the same as the rear, so they're pretty much identical speakers there. For the rear, we actually have this. So this is the tweeter. So you can tell just by this is incredibly thin, poor quality product. We're putting in the Audison Voce in comparison. So tweeters are very small by nature anyway, they don't need to be big, but the difference there is pretty noticeable. Dimensions, again, quite noticeable. And then we've got the sub. I mean, the fact I'm just able to just lift this up with one hand is pretty crazy. So like what I mentioned before, guys, as we go down in frequency range from a mid bass down to a sub, for example, or mid range down to a mid bass, it's all about structure. Plastic, I mean, it's just incredibly light. This is tucked into the left hand corner of the boot area, onto a custom bracket and stuff. It is bolted down, so you've got the bolt position, so it is bolted down, and when you actually remove all the lining from the boot, that's all that you see on the left hand side. And inside here, when you take off this casing, it's actually just a plastic surround in here as well, so no metal structure, no solid structure there to be able to build from. What we're fitting is this, which is the 10-inch Hertz Melee Pro 10-inch sub. Okay, this is going to be hidden. Remember, guys, this whole system is going to be completely hidden. So that is actually going to sit underneath the factory floor. We're not raising the floor. It's going to go into a custom enclosure underneath the floor. Yes, we're removing the foam insert. However, all the stuff that was in that foam insert, like the jack, the whatever else was underneath there, that is actually going to be relocated, and you'll see in the install video as Simon builds it. He's not built it yet, but as he's going to build it over the next couple of days, which you'll see in the main video. Hopefully you've watched that already. But we're going to relocate that into a custom box, basically underneath the factory floor as well. So retaining all the stuff that was in there, getting rid of that foam insert, still allowing full access to the battery, so everything is very serviceable on the vehicle, not in the way of anything, not blocking anything, and even within all that, all our system is completely removable anyway. But this system can go in and it's not going to be seen. So why on earth have we got a product like that in a space or location in a car where you've got ample room to put something as good as this? Obviously, manufacturers are never ever going to put this level of gear in a vehicle. Okay, it's just never going to happen. There's no point really talking about it because the budget doesn't allow for it. And these systems are absolutely huge. They are incredible. However, they do cost money. Okay, you bear in mind that a Meridian system or Bang Olufsen system, whatever, sometimes these tick boxes are maybe £200-300, maybe £1,000. Okay. The amplifier that we've got here alone, so the Audison Forza 12 channel, this is £1,400 by itself, okay? Without anyone touching the car, without tuning it, without any cables, without any wiring in the car, without any other speakers in the vehicle. So you've got to remember, guys, that these systems are, and we're not here to kind of say negative things about any particular brand. This is just about showcasing something that you've probably never seen before. You never ever get to see the behind the scenes of what you get from an actual speaker and product perspective on the big system from manufacturers. So all we do is just showcase it and compare it to obviously what we've got going on in the new system. If you're comparing spending £1,000 on a Meridian system versus spending £1,000 on an aftermarket system, if £1,000 is your maximum budget, there is a potential for you that potentially maybe you actually go for this. Maybe this is the right thing for your budget. However, if you have more budget and you want better, then this is where you start looking into this, because everything at the end of the day comes down to budget, what you can afford and what you want for you in your vehicle. But bear in mind, guys, these systems are an investment. The way I set up all our systems, doesn't matter from the entry level right to the very highest, where we're putting in Audison Thesis Ventis into vehicles, is is all reversible. Every single one of my systems are completely reversible. We can take it apart and we can put it back to stock, put the Meridian system back in, for example, and the equipment is something that you guys can move to your next vehicle, so you know that you've always got a great sounding car at the end of the day. Okay, so whatever you invest into that gear is transferable, but that is pretty much all the products. The amplifier, I mean, this is very, very, very light. This is, I think, not far off probably the weight of that mid-range, and that is the amplifier, which is basically a circuit board, and you see how thin that goes to there. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of, again, all about budget on a system, what it's got to do. Bear in mind that this amplifier has got to do beeps and bongs. It's got to do all your parking sensor tones. It's got to do SOS. It's got to do music. It's got to do everything. It's got a lot of stuff to do inside here. Plus, this has also got to hold some form of software onto it as well, because this was also tuned by Meridian to get the car sounding as good as it does with the equipment that it's got in it. So that's kind of an overview of that. Obviously, we've shown you the Audison Forza briefly. This is a completely different kettle of fish. So this has got, again, you can find out everything about this, guys. This, good luck. You're never going to find out anything about this product. This has got literally everything on there that you could possibly think of. It's got full manuals. It's got everything available. Obviously, it's an aftermarket bit of kit, so it's obviously got guidance on that sort of stuff. However, it has so much detail in terms of the technology that it's using inside it, constant updates to be better and better and better, but also it's got just so much detail about it online. So you can go over to manufacturers' websites. I'm going to bore you with all the tech specs on everything. They are all online. You can find out that information. However, you cannot find that kind of information out on stock equipment. 10 or 11 speaker system in aftermarket can sound way, way better than an 18 or 22 speaker system from a manufacturer. Reason is product is better, amplification is better, and everything along the line is as well. It's about what's right for you, what's right for your budget, and what's right for your car as well, how you want it to look, how you want it to sound. So there's no real rule to it, okay? So you don't need to say that this is bad and this is good. They are both good and they are also both bad all at the same time. So in conclusion, you got to choose what's right for you, and the only way to do that is to listen to a system. Listen to stock systems, listen to the factory system when you're buying a new car, listen to it, see what you think, but then also come by and visit if you're local, or go to another car audio shop as well that's local to you. Listen to what they have to offer, but always come here. Listen to what we have. We've got multiple demo vehicles, and you'll also be able to do the difference in the way people install. And you've seen, hopefully you've already watched the video. If you haven't done, now's a great time to do it after this video. But watch the install video. Watch the level of detail that Simon is going to go to on this particular car, or watch what all of our team, the level of detail that they go to when they are performing, the work of art that they do when they create a sound system in a vehicle. But that is it for today's video, guys. I really hope you guys have enjoyed the sound off episode on the Jaguar F-Pace SVR Meridian versus Audison and Hertz. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.